What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about ULTA's stock, ULTA Beauty. If you're not familiar, the most recent earnings report that this company had, it lost over $100 per share, which raised the question, is it a good time to start buying? Because again, if the stock lost $100 per share, then that clearly means there's a little bit of profit to make to the upside if in fact the stock is ready to bounce. So we're going to share the screen, we're going to take a look at the stock, do a couple things in terms of technical analysis, and then give our opinion on the stock. I hope you guys like the video, and let's get into it. Sharing the screen. Here we are. So first thing I'm going to do is map out pretty much a picture perfect resistance picture perfect support that's really started to bounce. So if we take a look at this point here, we had a big move up. We had the earnings report that brought the stock down. And here we are again. If we were to, again, do a horizontal support line, you'll come to find that it matches up pretty much spot on. I mean, arguably, if you go to the lows of these candles, it's a perfect tap. If you go to the body portion of the candle, then you're kind of hovering in the middle. So you can see we've come right down into this previous bounce zone, and we're starting to bounce just a bit. All right, next thing, let's take a look at some longer term trends. So again, you can always draw trend lines a little bit differently, and there's many points to pay attention to, and that's why you kind of get a feel for it, draw a couple of them. But what I did come to find is there is a potential trend line that is trying to hold as of right now. From this point here, following across these lower dips, straight across, and you will see we're kind of running right into that trend. Bounce up, bounce trend up. And we're right now back on that trend. The really cool thing to note is that if you are looking at this sort of trend on the chart, we're matching up with the trend line support, and then we're also matching up with horizontal price point support. So you can kind of look at this as like a double support right there. You know, 2S, double support, because you have the trend line and you have the horizontal support lining up. All right. Now, let's take a look at the daily chart, because the daily chart is going to show us the really big gap down that occurred off the last earnings report. So let me zoom this in over here. And now you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This was just before ULTA had reported earnings, and you can see big drop down. Stock dropped from about 337 all the way down to 236, and then faded a little bit more all the way down to about 224. So it lost just over $100 a share to the downside. So the question we've been looking is this ready for a buy? Do we see enough buying formation coming in? And just today, well, actually over the past couple days, you'll notice this big green day here and this big green day here. So we're starting to see some buyers coming into the stock. What I really like about it is that we're starting to see kind of a rounding bottom formation where we're kind of rounding and picking up. And then we also have this higher low here. That was the most important thing to me, was this being big green day that it put in for a couple reasons. Now we're going to take a look at maybe like a 20-day, 1 hour chart. So, and let me delete some of these drawings so we can clean it up a little bit. And now let's just kind of walk down this with me. I'm going to draw a bunch of on here. So we go down. ULTA gets absolutely annihilated. Everybody who was long the stock before earnings gets smoked. Somebody went in with 100 contracts long, got annihilated. So we go down. We kind of bounce here one day. Then we go into a new low. So we have a new low. We haven't yet kind of justified an uptrend the least bit. Next day we kind of bounce up. We still haven't really put in a higher low to justify an uptrend. We kind of press back into a new low. So here we have a new low. At this point, we're still really just trending down. Okay. Then we kind of bounce again. All right. And then we kind of just come down, and now we're just holding support along this bottom, right? You can see we're just kind of holding support here. We're not breaking down. We're not really going up. We're just kind of stagnating sideways. And then we get this big squeeze day where it pushes up. Now, we could either put in a higher low to kind of start an uptrend, or we could break down into a new low, which would continue the downtrend. But what we notice happens here, it bounces up, goes sideways, and then today we get another big push. This starts to confirm a higher low scenario where we're starting to try to uptrend on the stock. So if I redraw this again, we go down, push up, new low, push up, new low. Push up, we go sideways. Big push up, hold, push up, higher low. So we go from trending down. You could draw it on the top, doesn't really matter, just recognizing it's trending down. So you're going from kind of trending down to flat to now trending up. So this kind of raises the question, is it ready? Now we're going to take a look at, we could probably do it on, we'll do the 4-hour chart. So the question is it ready to go? And what we've been looking at is this. You'll see that there is clear resistance, or it's had clear resistance, kind of starting on this day. So there's a couple points. I will mention there's a couple points we're paying attention to, okay? So if you look at kind of this top here, we're going to have to do this a couple times. Anyways, I'm just going to draw this straight line. Ready? Straight across. So we have this point here where we kind of stopped today. But we also had these intermediate levels right here. And that's what broke today, which is interesting because we've been getting knocked down at these two levels, which is about the price of, maybe like 232 or something. Let me double check. Yeah, we're kind of getting knocked down around 234, all right? And we just broke over 234 today. Now the question is, can ULTA start getting over some of these higher tops around 239, 240? Because if we can start getting up over the 239, 240, that is a level that could result in a short squeeze, okay? Anybody who has been betting on the downside or trading the downside or short bias a stock and have entered short positions, they're hoping it goes down. And it's the same thing as being long bias a stock. If you're long a stock, there's going to be a certain price point that you would most likely stop out of your trade or sell to cut your loss or to get out of the trade if it goes against you, right? So imagine if everybody in the whole world was trading one stock and they all decided to put their stop loss right at $5. As soon as the stock goes to $5, everybody in the world's stop loss would get triggered and it would add a mass amount of selling pressure on that stock right at the price point of $5, which would cause a really big drop, okay? Most of you would understand that because most traders trade long bias and have a stop loss to cut their loss when the stock comes down. Less traders are short sellers, or less people can short sell stocks given the amount of capital they have or based on the account that they're trading in, which then means most people never learn what short selling is or how the game of short selling works, and they don't think what's going to happen on the opposite side. So again, if anybody who is short this stock or has been shorting, they're going to have their stop losses in around 240, the top of this wick, and then there's also another spot that I'll show you in just a second. So again, if you were long the stock and you're buying these dips, chances are you would have a stop loss. We're just going to classify stop loss as SL. You'd have a stop loss somewhere down here below support. So if the stock did roll over, break support, everybody's stop loss is going to get triggered at that point and we're going to get a big drop. Same thing happens in vice versa. If you're a short seller and you're shorting around here or in here or in here, you can clearly see the resistance. The resistance is pretty much this whole spot. Short term, that is. Right? That's your resistance, which also means anybody who is short is probably going to have a stop loss here. So when you're short, in order to get out, you actually buy back shares. When you open a short position, you sell shares first to open the position. So you sell to open and you buy back to close. In a traditional long bias trade, you buy to open and sell to close. So remember that long bias trading, buy to open, sell to close. Short bias trading, sell to open, buy to close. So if we can get ULTA's stock price up and over this 240, maybe even tomorrow, there's a good chance we can kickstart a short squeeze that would then bring in additional momentum. Buyers would start hopping in, recognizing that we're over the resistance, and then more short sellers might get squeezed depending on where they decide to get out. So now let's go back, take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart's going to show us the gap. So something important to note here, right? If you look at it from this point, it's obvious that the resistance right now is at about 240, which isn't a surprise. Now when we look at this, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. You might be able to if I zoom in a little bit more. Maybe you can see it. There's a little bit of an upper wick on this candle. And if I look at it today, it'll become more apparent. You can see we got to the red dotted line and we sold off, right? And that's the 240 mark. That's the resistance. We went right to resistance and sold off by the end of the day. So it lets us know that people are respecting that 240 as a short-term sell zone. So what could have happened here is anybody long bias on the day could have sold at resistance, right? They could start selling there. Anybody who is wanting to be short the stock could have started selling short here at 240. Anybody who has already been short the stock might have stop losses around this 240. So if we go back to the daily chart, what we can see is the 240 is a significant level. If we can get up and over that, we might start seeing some really nice green days, something like this, right? Where we're starting to bounce back and then test our gap down candle. Ready? This is the gap. Market opens that day at whatever price this is. I don't know, maybe like 260, 250. So now when this candle comes up, we should test this resistance. This is a good spot to have a taking partial profits, right? So if you get long and this works, and even I might get long in the stock if everything plans out and goes according to plan, this might be a great buy here the next couple days or even tomorrow. And if it has a really ripping day, this price up here at this opening candle at 253 would be a good short-term sell. And then afterwards, we might even see ULTA start going into this gap zone and starting to fill some of this gap to the upside. What you should not anticipate a stock to do is just go like this, right into the gap and then just do it. They won't do that. If anything, you're going to be seeing something like this where it'll probably push up to the short-term resistance at 240 and then again do some stuff like this and then grind, right? That's the objective. So long story short, looks like we have a pretty good potential buy coming here on ULTA. We've already been following it for a couple weeks. Many other traders have been following it. So we're going to keep it on the watch list. We're going to keep watching it tomorrow. If you guys join us in our pre-market live stream, which happens at 8:30 a.m. every single morning, Eastern Standard Time, you can kind of get updated and a refresher when the market's coming to open or getting close to open. So I hope you guys like the video. Thumbs up the video, share it with a friend, and always subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the new videos. And everybody take care, have a great day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on our stream.